Welcome to Power Lunch Live. I'm Rhett Power, your host. Welcome back to this special week of coverage on the Ukraine war. We don't call it a crisis or a conflict here. We call it what it is. It's war. And so, this week I'm really dedicating the time for the program to people who are living through this the war and living through this time. And today I've got Mila Krutchenko. Mila is left Ukraine. She has fled to Croatia with her 18-month-old. She's left her husband at the border to go back to Kiev to defend their home. And today I wanted to talk about a little bit about her journey. I mean, she is a talented professional. She's uh, in the C-suite. She's an executive in marketing. Um, but I think it's a remarkable story to talk about how just in 2 weeks that life has been upended, and she is fled to another country with her child and living in an apartment with six other people right now. Uh, and um, anyway, to me, it's remarkable. I think we have to continue to tell the human cost of this story. We have to continue to talk about what's happening to these people in Europe. We're not talking about some far off place that none of us have ever been or that we don't understand, that is far removed. Um, So today, Mila, thank you so much for joining us. I know you've got kids everywhere in the house. It's kind of chaotic, so I appreciate the time that you're taking to talk to me and talk to to everybody watching. Um, Tell me a little bit about. We'll get into the journey a little bit when you left, but tell me why you decided to leave.
Thank you, Rhett, for inviting me, and it's a great pleasure to talk to you. I'm really grateful that there is a chance for me to tell my story, because I do believe that it could help a lot of Ukrainians who are not yet abroad and are staying in the places that are not safe with their children because they don't know where to go. I want to tell my story for them to understand that we are not alone, and people abroad are willing to help, and they're helping, and there is a way out of that war that is happening right now in our country. I do ask you not to call it a conflict or a special operation. It's not. It's a full-scale war, because cities all over Ukraine are bombed right now, and people are dying, children are dying, and it's really scary. And I do feel guilty that I'm now lucky. I'm at the safe place, and I'm not there. I'm not helping people to defend their homeland. But I think that when you have a child, children's safety is our first priority. So I left Ukraine because of my child, and I think I did the right thing. And I ask mothers all over Ukraine, help your children be safe, because Russians are not hitting just military objects. They are aiming at the schools, kindergartens, maternity hospitals. Children are dying. There is like 71 confirmed child deaths already in Ukraine due to the war aggression of Russians. And that's really scary. And yes, going back to my personal story, on February 24th at 5 a.m., I woke up to the explosions, and at first I didn't understand what's happening. What was happening? It was not even on my mind that the war could happen in 21st century in the center of Europe, and um, it took me around an hour to read the news, to talk to my husband, to understand that, okay, our home is not safe anymore. My apartment is at the center of Kiev. It's not far from the government building. So I understood that that's really not safe to stay there. And it took me and my husband around 15 minutes to pack one backpack with a couple of clothes, the baby food, and our passport. That's everything we took. And we just took our sleeping baby and left Kiev. I really hope that we will go and just for a couple of days to stay at our parents' near Kiev, and then we'll come back. But a day later, we understood that no, it's not a misunderstanding. It's not an operation. It's not a conflict. That's a war. And the day later, I talked to my friend with her children, and we decided that we need to go to the border. So we took two cars. In one car, there was my small family, me, my husband, our baby, and my sister-in-law. And in the other car was my friend with her husband and two children. And it took us only a day to get to the border and to pass the border. At the border, we all women and three children packed in one car. There were like 6 people of us in one car, and our husbands took the other car and went back to Kiev. And we were really, really lucky because we used border with Moldova, and it wasn't as there were not so many people as on the border with Poland. So it took us only 7 hours to pass the border. And that's how our story abroad started. We passed 3 borders. It's Ukraine, Moldova, Romania, Hungary, and then Croatia. 6 people in a 5-seat car. And I'm really grateful that nobody at the borders told us that we were not allowed to pass this many people in one car. People were really friendly. Everybody tried to help us. In Romania, there were like people we didn't know at all. We stopped at the cafe to buy some food for children, and they saw our car plates, came to us, asked if we are Ukrainians, and offered their own apartment for a night for us to stay. They just took their things, left us keys, and went to their neighbors. And it was just amazing. People that we saw like first time in our lives gave us keys from their apartment and just left. I just want to say that we are really appreciative, not only me or my friends, all Ukrainians that had to leave their homes and are now abroad. We are really appreciative for all the help we get from European Union. People, you are amazing, and it's fantastic how you trying to make our lives a bit easier right now. We do appreciate that so much. Thank you for that. And now we are staying at Croatia. Also, people gave us their vacation home for a couple of months free of charge. And that's a great opportunity for me to start working again and start doing something useful for my country. So now I'm already safe. I feel really blessed and lucky, and I'm doing all my best to be useful to my country, as all my relatives, all my friends, all my acquaintances do.
Well, I don't think there's anybody in the world that can fault you for making your child the priority, because I don't think there's a mother or a father in the world that would say that's not the first thing that you have to do. And I'm thankful that you don't have an older child or an older boy, an older son, or an older daughter that is there still and in the middle of this fight. So I'm thankful that your child is young, because that's a whole nother level of, I think, stress and anxiety. Um, Talk about a little bit. I want to know, and I think everybody here would want to know, what was that conversation like with your husband when you separated at the border? What were you feeling, and what did you guys say to each other?
Well,
And if it's too much of a personal question, that's okay. You don't have to answer. But
it's okay.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
It was a stressful moment, of course, because we weren't sure if we can pass the border on the car because it's registered on my husband. So there were a lot of questions about the car, about the permits, about the money and so on. So he was just trying to make sure that everything with me would be okay. And that's, of course, fantastic, because I was worried about him because he's staying at the place that is not safe. So there was a small talk about our daily routines, about the car, about the oil and so on. And I asked him to stay safe and, of course, not to risk because he has a small child. And his answer was, everybody has a small child. And their main duty is to save children, to save our future. So he promised me not to be volunteer, but as you know, for now, he's somewhere there. Of course, that's a big question. We are all worried about our relatives and husbands, and there is a big cluster of parents that are not willing to leave their homes. And even if it happens so that family is all out from Ukraine, they're worried about their parents. So everybody now has some people they are worried about. And the scariest thing, as I see it, that when the war started, people decided that it's safer to stay in small villages and satellites, not in Kiev itself. And a lot of families left to the satellites and villages. But now they're trying to get to get to the capital, and they are stopped somewhere there near satellites, near those villages. So people are now blocked in those small cities where they don't have electricity, they don't have water, they have a small amount of food, and they're staying in basements without everything. And that's the scariest moment because
Are they blocked by the troops? Or are they blocked by
yes,
the Russians?
they are
Or
blocked by the troops, and we are trying to make those green corridors for volunteers to bring drinking water there, to bring food there, to bring medicines. But Russian troops are just shooting those volunteers. They are shooting refugees trying to flee those blockades. And my nanny is in one of such cities in Irpin, and she's sitting in basement without drinking water for 6 days already. And I just don't understand how something like that could happen in modern society. It's just,
what are you worried about? I mean, we've talked a little bit about what you're worried about, but in terms of your future, um, because of all this uncertainty and everything that's happening, are you worried about? I know you're worried about the present, but are you also worried about the future?
um, I'm worried about the future, of course, because there is nothing stable right now for Ukraine or Ukrainians. And we do understand that this war is a huge threat for our economy. It's a huge threat for our culture, for our nation, and there is no way it will end without any consequences. Because right now already, for example, all my sphere is advertising. It's blocked. There is no advertising anymore in Ukraine, and people keep getting their salaries yet. But we do understand that businesses need to get some money from somewhere to pay their salaries. So it's a question of 1 or 2 months left, and then we'll need to do something to earn money, and that's one question. And same situation in practical all economic spheres in Ukraine. Is the situation is tough, and we do need help right now to keep going with our economy. And we do appreciate the help from the US and from the European Union, but it's important to understand that it shouldn't be one-time help. We'll need this help to restore the economy when the war ends as well. And of course, we are worried about our future in terms of physical future, because if there will be no more Ukraine, what future would we have? We don't want to be part of Russia or go back to the USSR. We are European democratic country, and we want to stay democratic. We want to stay Ukrainians. So that's another big question, and something to worry about at night. And those who left Ukraine, of course, I hope that I'll go back to Ukraine as far as everything's ended, and there would be a place to go back to, and there would be a work to go back to. But there are some people that, as for now, are looking for a job abroad, and actually that's a good opportunity for European Union and for the US as well, because Ukrainian specialists are great specialists, and we're known in IT, but there are a lot of different spheres where our experts are real experts, and we could be useful for different businesses all around the world. So one of the ways you could help us is to offer jobs to Ukrainians, offer some projects to Ukrainians. And I think it would be a win-win situation, because we like to work and we do our jobs well. So maybe this way business could help, not volunteering, but getting some expertise for rational money.
I'm sitting here taking notes furiously, because that is a absolutely brilliant idea. And I was thinking of it as you were talking, and I was trying to listen and write down this idea, because I imagine, I mean, you were talking about before we came on, this whole apartment building that you're in now is filling up with Ukrainian families. And I mean, I share your concern that in a month or 2 months, a couple things, right? Number one, the paycheck that you have, because your company is not making money right now, and it can't afford. There aren't that many businesses that can afford to keep paying people when they're not bringing in any revenue, and I'm sure revenue is completely stopped. And the other thing I'm concerned about is you having access to money, and actually access to the money that you probably have in a Ukrainian bank. And maybe right now that's okay, but at some point, if this continues much longer, getting access to that money might be really difficult, if it's not already difficult. And so talk about that a little bit. And I want to go back to maybe bouncing a couple ideas around how we could set up some sort of job placement or job board or something, and maybe with your tech friends and your knowledge, that's something that you could help us lead, so that we could. I mean, that would be a useful service to Ukraine right now and to your people. And I think that's something we should talk about, because I think that's a brilliant idea, by the way.
Well, according to the access to the account, everything is working right now. Moreover, I've heard that PayPal and several more companies decided not to take any commission for transferring money to Ukraine. So now it's even easier to send money to Ukraine or to pay Ukrainian employees. There is no more commission for the transfers. Accounts are working, and my card is working. I've checked today, everything's good. Of course, I'm worried about my financial status, because I used to earn pretty much and to spend pretty much. So now I'm in this uncertain condition where I'm trying to spend less, because I don't know when I will stop earning money. But I do believe in expertise of Ukrainians, and I checked it with my networks several times, not only in CIS region, but overall worldwide advertising networks. I took part in several pitches worldwide, and I see that we are not a third world country or something like that. We are pretty smart, educated, and experienced. We work on highly volatile markets, so our experience is great. We know what to do in recession. We know what to do in different political situations. And we know what to do when everything goes wrong. And this experience is really brilliant, because in Europe, nothing changes for years. In Ukraine, everything changes each year. So we are ready for stressful situations. We are ready for some uncertainties, and we react really fast. We learn really fast. So I think that's our pros when we're talking about looking for the jobs or projects. And now we're talking to our networks, Havas Media and IPG, and we are offering our teams for the projects. This way, trying to make our people busy in these uncertain times, and to make sure that they will earn some money for the next couple of months. So if this initiative is appreciated, I would highly recommend for all the companies to try it.
And how do they get involved in that network?
Well, there are some professions that really need this right now. For example, PPC specialists, those who plan campaigns for Google networks and so on. And those people can plan campaigns and push them from, launch them from Ukraine. So we were talking about this creating of such PPC Google Hub in Ukraine for CIS region before the war, and now we just started to talk about it again with our networks, because people here are experiencing such campaigns, and it comes out of high quality and a good price when we are doing it from Ukraine. So our networks are open for such experiments. And my division is strategists and R&D. Also can be useful, because we are good at math. We do econometric modeling, which is working all over the world as well. So I think there is a potential for some of the specialists to start working right now for the projects. There are, of course, some specialists that need to get to know the market to be useful. But as I told before, we are learning really fast. So maybe in months or two, those people can work for practically any market.
Let me ask you this. I mean, going back to this idea that you threw out, and that is creating a job board or something that employers could look at for talent. Um, is that something that you or your team could help put together and get the word out to the? And is there a way to reach the Ukrainian community that's abroad now that has left, or maybe even people inside? Is there a way to do that that would be that you could see kind of? I want you to sort of envision a little bit how it would work and how we would set it up, if you can.
The only good thing that I know about war in Ukraine is that we are all united as never. And there are a lot of initiatives from different companies and market initiatives that are thinking in this directions already, and we have some platforms already where people can offer jobs, and the Ukrainians could answer on those offers, but it's maybe not as big scale as it could be, but it's only 15 days yet, so we'll continue on working on that. And of course, we are keeping in touch with those people who left Ukraine. Everybody, even abroad, is thinking about Ukraine and is trying to help as much as possible. So we do have all the connections, and there are market organizations in different spheres that are connecting people within their specialties. So there is connection, and we can build that up.
Can you, we're almost out of time, but I wanted to say if there are websites or places where people can post a job or hire someone from, if you don't mind posting those in the chat after we get off on LinkedIn, and we can spread those out to the other platforms, that would be really good, because I think people here want to help. They want to do something productive, and I can't think of anything better than hiring somebody to help them make a living and support their family and others during this war. So I appreciate you bringing that to light, and I do want to think more about how we can help promote, if not create something, but help promote what's out there already, to get bigger and to have more people look at it so that we can do more. But thank you so much, Mila, and thank you for telling your story and being with us here today on the program. And would love to keep in touch and see how you're doing in a couple of week or two, and see if things have changed at all for you.
Thank you for asking me, and of course I'll share all the links that I have, and hopefully next time we'll meet, everything would be much better in terms of Ukrainian situation.
Let's hope you're back in Kiev in your apartment, and rebuilding has begun, and things go back to not normal. But as you said, there's always a consequence, right? But it at least goes back, and you're reunited with your family and your parents and your husband, and things come back to some normal anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you really for being here today. We'll be back tomorrow with another conversation about Ukraine and what's happening there, with more people who are experiencing this firsthand. Thank you very much.